Hey, y'all, I'm Bud Elliott, and this is Cover 3 College Football Summer School. We've done our research on the teams, and now we're bringing on the top team experts from the 24/7 Sports Network to help us fill in the blanks. Please follow us on Twitter at Cover 3 Podcast. That's Cover 3 Podcast. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. All right, class is in session. Welcome back in here to the Cover 3 Podcast. This is College Football Summer School with Bud Elliott. I'm really happy to be joined now by Ross Martin of Inside Carolina.
What's going on, bud?
Man, I'm just looking over the roster here, looking over what Carolina did last year, reading all y'all's coverage on Inside Carolina, probably the best site in our entire network. I mean, I'm biased, but you guys do an absolutely tremendous job. It's been a pretty special month for y'all as well with Final Four appearance and taking down Duke. So that was pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and check here. 6-7 on the year. A little bit of disappointment, I guess, compared to the preseason expectations.
I would certainly say so. Yeah, I mean, there are people predicting 10-2, 11-1. I mean, outside chance to get the college football playoff. Definitely one of the leaders to get into the ACC championship game. And yeah, losses early to Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech, and then close losses to Pitt, and the one against NC State, I think, really hurt. It was definitely a disappointment, I think, especially kind of the last year of Sam Howell and all the talent they had at wide receiver and running back to not have a winning record and not kind of make that next step under Mac Brown in year 3 was definitely a disappointment. So it's kind of a setback in expectations heading to 2022, and then having a new quarterback and bringing in a new defensive coordinator, Gene Chizik. It's kind of a reset, certainly, losing a lot of talent, but bringing in Gene Chizik, I think, will really help the defense. So that's kind of where we're starting this spring.
We can go ahead and start on the defensive side, no problem. So one of the worst last year, if you look at SP Plus and FPI and sort of the advanced metrics that account for opponent's strength, pretty much all of them had this defense outside the top 100. So Gene Chizik comes in. I'm looking at this, and roster-wise, like, you lose Bo Hasek, who I thought was a pretty solid nose guard.
He's actually back. He'll be back.
Oh, he's back. Okay. I had him marked off on my sheet. This is why we do summer school. This is awesome.
Yeah, he's been out. He's been out in the spring, but he'll be back for 2022. He took the extra 5th year.
Oh, okay, great. Well, then, am I wrong to think that? Well, I guess now my opinion, the defensive line should be pretty damn solid.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the best position group for UNC. You bring back Bo Hasek, who will be a 3-year starter at nose tackle. I think Miles Murphy is set for a breakout season. He was pretty good last year. And then Javari Ritzy, who was a big-time prospect, 24/7 Sports composite 4-star, should also be a starter there. So I think the talent of the defensive line will be the strength of this defense. And they're simplifying the scheme and everything. Jay Bateman run a pretty complicated situation there with the 3-4. And I think Gene Chizik, we're coming in, the basic 4-3, very simple, very clear, really raised the floor of the defense. And I think the talent that Mac Brown has brought in over the last 4 recruiting classes, you're finally seeing some of that show up. A guy like Javari Ritzy, Keyshawn Silver, Tony Grimes entering his 3rd year at quarterback. I think the talent that was really high that led to these top 15 classes is finally, sophomores and juniors. You'll see that improvement and kind of get what Jay Bateman wanted out of this group. I think he was just a year behind fulfilling that potential of these talented players, and you're finally getting some maturity there in 2022.
I kind of feel like I went back and I read my notes on UNC from preseason last year, and I said if the young defensive linemen arrive a year ahead of schedule, this could really be something. It sounds like clearly they didn't all arrive a year ahead of schedule last year. You have pretty good confidence in the strength conditioning program that they will take that next step this year, though.
Yeah, I think so. Another guy to mention is Desmond Evans. He was a guy that you would think in year 2 last year he could be a player. He wasn't anything special, but now they're moving him to defensive end, 6'6" guy who's going to be a pure pass rusher now and not have to drop back in coverage. And just some of the big names I've already mentioned, those guys, have the physical maturity now in year 3, year 4, and you have some veterans in like KJ Hester and Rafa Hesek who can provide some from depth there too. So I think they do lose some key players, Tamon Fox, Jeremiah Gimmel, who should get drafted, but They like what they have at linebacker too. So that front seven is going to be a really good group. It'll be the core of this defense. They had tons of depth issues with injuries in the secondary, but they have some experience there as well with guys like Tony Grimes and Storm Duck. I mean, you recognize all these names. They had to be able to put it all together. I think I'm not sure if it'll be a superb defense in 22, but I think they do have the parts based on how they've recruited and how they developed to be the strength of this team. More of the questions are on offense with all they lost there, but defense I think has the chance to be a pretty top end ACC group, and some really breakout players with Evans and Ritzy and Miles Murphy, and I think people are waiting for Grimes to put it all together along with Storm Duck. And I think Cedric Gray, maybe a name that a lot of people don't know, but he was fantastic last year, kind of coming in as a surprise, a long middle linebacker. So he'll step into a big-time leadership role with Gimmel leaving as well.
That's awesome. Clearly, I think the formula for this team, if they're going to exceed expectations, is defense takes a big step and offense minimizes the step back that it takes. Assuming I think that it takes someone of a step back with Sam Howell being gone. We like Drake May a lot coming out of high school as a recruit. Does Carolina like him to that extent still? I assume he's going to be the guy, right?
Yeah, I think most people assume he's the guy, but they like Jacoby Criswell too. I mean, he was a 4-star guy out of Arkansas. He's been here one year longer, came in during the COVID year in 2020. And so, I mean, I think it's going to be a healthy competition. And I wouldn't be surprised at some point to see both quarterbacks play. They like both of them. They want to keep both of them there. I think they both have starter ability. Drake May has been kind of what we're hearing on the outside, but they're not going to decide anytime soon. They're going to let that competition go into August, into fall camp, and make a decision before the first game. But I wouldn't be surprised to see both. I think both are very talented. They're similar. Drake May is a little bit taller, a little bit more of a pocket passer. Criswell, they love his arm. They've always raved about his arm. And then they like Connor Harrell too, the freshman out of Alabama. I don't think he's in contention to be a starter, but down the line, he's a guy who showed flashes during the spring game and can definitely be a backup the next couple of seasons and potentially be a starter down the line. So they're confident what they have at quarterback. But then again, it's gonna be hard to replace Sam Howell. He was a kind of a once in generation guy. So like you said, kind of minimizing that drop off is gonna be key. But I think they have the right pieces with May and Criswell. But none of them have seen live bullets yet. None of them have been in the fire because it's been the Sam Howell show for 3 years, and he didn't miss a single game. I think he missed one game last year for injury. Other than that, we haven't seen the other guys at all. So you never know who's going to come in and be a gamer.
For sure. At the receiver position, a lot of talent here. They've done a fairly good job recruiting the position, in my opinion. Who do you feel like will step up to lead that room, and it maybe be some names that we don't necessarily know?
Well, it's Josh Downs is the big name.
Right. I guess I meant in addition to Josh.
Yeah.
He's I think most people listening to the show probably know Josh. If you guys don't know Josh Downs, kid out of Atlanta, stud. Just really good player.
He set 2 single season catches and yards records last year for UNC. So, I mean, he's going to leave UNC as one of the best receivers all time. They're very thin there right now. They're going to have to go to the transfer portal. They have 6 scholarship receivers. And they like to have at least 10 to 12 on the roster. So they're going to have to add at least 2 or 3 guys in transfer portal. And Mac Brown likes to add starters. You don't want to bring in someone who's going to be a backup. But Antoine Greene, a long, deep threat. He made some plays last year. He's going to have to step up. They like Kobe Paysire, who hasn't done much. And I think a name to watch is Bryce and Nesbit. He was a talented guy out of Charlotte, but he's listed as a tight end. But kind of that big, long, athletic tight end who is more of a pass catcher than a blocker. He's seen some time at wide receiver in the slot, and they can put him outside for end zone threats. So those are the 4 names right now we're hearing. They're going to have some people step up in the offseason. And then I think it'd be an attractive destination for a talented wide receiver to come in, someone who leaves the program in the spring to come into Carolina because they like to throw the ball. So there's a lot of opportunities. So I would look for that. For UNC to pick up an impact transfer at wide receiver. They're going to have to. And so that would be a name we don't know yet that comes in and can be a compliment to Greene and to Josh Downs. And also Andre Greene, a big-time talented 4-star wide receiver who is not on campus yet. He's a freshman. I think he is super stud recruit and a big get for UNC. Beat out, Clemson, Georgia, a lot of other schools for him. He could be a guy who can make an impact as a freshman. They love his ability to play multiple positions at wide receiver and just a physical, talented, athletic guy who I think will have a chance to be a player at the wide receiver in year one. So they're adding 2 other wide receivers. So they'll have 8 with those 2 guys coming in the spring or in the summer, I guess, rather.
Awesome. Ross, I'll get you out here with these 2. They do lose a pretty good chunk of their offensive line. I think there was an O-line. I'm an ACC guy. Obviously, I watched a decent amount of Carolina, not every single game. I felt like they were kind of up and down last year at times. But how much are losing those guys? Is that really going to impact them? Do they feel good about the spot? What are kind of the general thoughts there on the O-line?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't that great. They were pretty good run blocking, but pretty bad at pass protection. I mean, Sam Howell got hit a lot over the last 3 years. They lose their 3 best starters, Marcus McKeithen, Joshua Zudu, and Jordan Tucker to the NFL or just leaving the program. So, it wasn't a good offensive line, but they lose 3 players from it. So you never know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing. They're going to have to find some guys who can step up, and they have the bodies. They brought in Corey Gaynor, transfer from Miami. They need that depth at center, so he'll split time at center with Brian Anderson. So like that, he's already on campus. They may need to bring in they're bringing in the Harvard transfer as well. Roland, I believe, is his name. But yeah, there's definitely questions mark there. They lose Stacey Searles to Georgia, the offensive line coach. They bring in Jack Bicknell from Louisville. But they're gonna have some guys step up. They have to play some redshirt freshmen, some sophomores. There's a lot of question marks there, and some new stars in the offensive line protecting a new quarterback. It's not exactly the best formula for success. So I think that and wide receiver are certainly 2 question marks on offense because they do lose those 3 starters. So, Mac Brown has been stressing pass protection. He stressed that for 3 years, and not much has changed. But with a new offensive line coach, I think, getting a fresh voice in there could be good. And we'll see what happens with these new names. But, there's some guys who've been around like William Barnes and Ed Montilus who just haven't played a lot. And there's usually a reason why for that. So we'll see if some younger guys step up or if they go with, like a 5th-year senior or junior who's kind of been around the program, has some experience there. But I think bringing in the 2 transfers, Roland out of Harvard, he'll get here in June, and Corey Gaynor is definitely a positive. They needed some more depth there, some more veteran experience. And so we'll see what happens there. But I think it's certainly a question mark given what they lost at offensive line.
Awesome, Ross. Really appreciate you joining us, guys. Make sure you follow Ross Martin. Check out Inside Carolina. They do a great job over there. Appreciate you joining us here on the Cover 3 Summer School Edition.
Yeah, bud. Appreciate what y'all do at Cover 3. It's always a great listen throughout the season. Looking forward to catching up with some episodes here after basketball ends.
No doubt. All right, that's the bell. Cover 3 College Football Summer School is over for today. But don't worry. We'll be back soon with even more episodes filling you in on the top teams in college football. Please give us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow us on YouTube and on Twitter at Cover 3 Podcast. And we'll see y'all soon.